Yeah.
Let's jump to this story from the New York Post. Democrats have abandoned men who just want to get laid and have fun.
That's
Vice
great.
DNC Chair David Hogg says. Okay, let's hear this.
So not to bore people, but to get into the bureaucracy of the DNC, we have a gender balance rule at the DNC because, of course, we do.
Because, of course, we do.
See, right away.
By the way, the Republican Party does too. If the chair is a male, then the vice chair has to be a female.
Well, what's interesting is that's even more progressive than our vision, which is that the chair doesn't count towards the gender balance rule that we have. Frankly, I don't even know if it makes sense for us to have the gender balance rule anymore in this day and age because I want to focus on whoever's just best at the job.
Great.
At this point, that's my own view.
That's not even the clip related to the story, so I don't know what New York Post is on about. But I do love this. We have this one. Vigilant Fox says David Hogg gets a huge reaction from Bill Maher after saying Democrats need to reconnect with young men who just want to get laid and have fun. Maybe this is the clip.
Right now, what I think happened last election is younger men, they would rather vote for somebody who even if they don't completely agree with, they don't feel judged by, than somebody who they do agree with, that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged or ostracized or excommunicated. And what's interesting about this moment is it feels like the two parties in some senses have flipped where, Republicans used to be the judgmental assholes in many ways. And since many Democrats, despite us, I would say for most of us coming from the right place of wanting to do the right thing, we've created a culture where we say, well, if you say the wrong thing, you're excommunicated. And that's just not how human beings work. Nobody is perfect. But ultimately, what we have to do here is figure out how to bring people back in and work towards the bigger goal of advancing the future of this country and helping young people especially get by so that they're able to focus on their lives and, getting with a young woman or something like that instead of how are they going to pay their rent, for example, or how are they working their two jobs. Young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun.
David Hogg for president, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yes.
Nice to see you. We'll see you back here.
Degenerate.
Here's what I want to say about this. You know what? The first thing I thought when I saw this clip was Bill Maher gets around 40,000 viewers in the key demo. Most of his viewers are older, like all cable TV. Who is David Hogg preaching to? I'm not saying it was wrong for him to go on a show like Bill Maher. I mean, older voters vote, and they're very powerful. That being said, in 10 years, when Bill Maher's audience, when Fox News' audience, CNN's audience, MSNBC's audience have passed on and are not voting, I'm not trying to be rude. There is going to be a political earthquake in this country, and the country is going to shift so far right, people's heads will spin. And I say this because of that Real Clear Politics aggregate that showed every age bracket, 70 and under, supports Trump, or the 40 to 49 was tied for support, but 70 plus was Trump minus 14. Wow. That means if you take all 70 plus individuals and say don't vote, Trump wins in a landslide every single time.
That's so interesting because I feel like the younger generation of liberals, when I say liberals, I don't mean liberals. I mean like the woke mob. They're so loud that it's just hard to believe that because they're the ones that are like parading and protesting.
And he's conservative.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're finding Jesus, which is like the crazy news.
Amen.
I know. It's becoming cool. That was so like, I think he knew what he was doing. I think that was easy clickbait and I guess it worked. Because that was a cringy, like, I'm pretty young, and I just cringed at that. Like, that was not cool.
Sounds like something that people in a boardroom were talking about being like, you got to say just like
it sounds like what you tell an old guy so he can sound relatable to the younger
Exactly.
generation. Like, young kids just want to get laid and have fun.
He's rebranding.
Look, if you guys are talking about the delivery, that's fine. But the substance of what he was saying up until he said, go out and have fun and get laid is true.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats have lost young men because they have demonized young men for 20 years. They have lost an entire generation. The reason that Gen Z men in particular, are so much more right-wing than millennials or even Gen X is because of the way that the way that the Democrats have been treating Gen Z.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Men in general, but
last election, young men ages 18 to 29 backed President Trump 56 to 42 compared to women who preferred Kamala Harris 58 to 41, according to Tufts University. I think that women are going to have a snap back to the right. Men will not have a snap to the left. And the reason is, and I mean this with no disrespect, men don't have a biological clock. So what happens right now is Young guys, they want to hook up, just like David Hogg says, right? He says they want to get laid. Well, the issue is for these guys, they're not thinking about when they have to have a family. They're just thinking like, man, the dating pool sucks right now. Dating apps are whack and these women are all crazy liberals. So what's happening? There's a massive spike in virginity. It's not so much a spike in virginity. It's that young men are increasingly less likely to have ever had sex and less likely to have had sex within a span of a year. For younger women with biological clocks, once they get into their 30s, they're going to start going to guys. They're going to start looking for partners and saying, I want to have, it's time. Like, I want to have a family. And the guys are going to be like, let's go on a date. They're going to go on a date. And the guy's going to be like, I'm going to hook up tonight. And then she's going to say, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, fist bump. And he's going to say, thank you for your time, and leave. And she's going to go, why? And he's going to say, lady, I've got 50 years till I die, and I can have a kid in any one of those years.
It's true.
I'm going to take my time and make sure I find a good mom for the family I want to have. And what's going to end up happening is women are going to face a pressure men will not face, where they're going to have to capitulate to what the men want. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not attacking feminists. I'm saying this is a biological reality that I think we're going to start seeing. Young men are conservative, do support Trump, and they don't care that women are liberals. And they largely are. In their 30s, guys are going to be like, I'll just find a young conservative woman. Good luck. And these women who are 30 are going to be like, I don't get it. Many of them will give up, have cats, and grow old with no children.
Sure.
And the women who want to have families are going to be like, I was lied to. Feminism is bad. I'm running out of time.
There are a lot of women that are, older millennials or Gen X that are, realizing that now, that feel that way. They're like, I went and I spent all this time having my career, blah, 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 blah. And when I hit 35, I was like, oh, I want to have kids now. And it was super hard to find someone, or I had problems getting pregnant. And there's a lot of women out there that are, that in that age block. And they're like, I was lied to. Feminism lied to me because they thought they could do everything at the same time. They thought they could have a family and be a CEO and be a lawyer and blah, blah, blah. They thought they could do everything all at the same time. And you can't. You have to make decisions about what your priority is. It's true.
So I think feminism's been hijacked by this narrative where if you get married young, you're like weak and you're codependent now, and the male is going to take away all of your rights and all of your big dreams. And I feel like that's one extreme side, and I feel like the other extreme is like motherhood takes away your opportunity of success, and you have to be a full-time mom. I think there's like a fine line to tread both.
I don't.
Like, listen, I personally am a very hard worker. I have very big dreams and goals. And one of my huge goals is to be a mother. Like, I don't want 1 million kids, but I definitely want at least 2 to 3. And I don't plan on stopping at all to pursue my career. I'll take a year off like most mothers do. I'm blessed enough that I can take a year off, whether it's like a financial burden or like, do I have help? Yes, my parents are very young. My mom literally had me at 22, 23. But I'm not going to become that full-time stay-at-home mom. And a lot of women judge me for that. And a lot of men judge me for that. And I'm like, listen, to each their own. You need to do what works that's best for your family and not raise degenerate children.
That's fine. But the point is, you can't do everything at the same time. You do have to prioritize one or the other. And especially if you've got a full-time job, if you want to actually raise your kids, you're going to have to give up that full-time job, or else it's going to be someone else raising your kids, putting your kids in daycare, putting your kids in school all day long. And that means it will be someone else spending more time with your children than you, so you can do your career, which if people want to do that, that's fine. But there are a lot of people that feel like after they've done that, they feel like I missed out on so much of my killed.
Listen, it's a choice. Blah, blah, blah. It's definitely a sacrifice. Yeah. Like, my mother stopped practicing law because she was like, I felt like I wasn't watching you and your brother grow up. And she doesn't regret that decision. Of course not. I look at her and I'm always like, wow, like I could never, I don't want to do that. Like I would, like, there was a big debate, someone remind me of congresswomen who give birth are allowed to vote from home or something. And I think Anna Paulina was against it. And I agree with. I feel like if you're going to choose or you accidentally get pregnant while you're sitting in Congress, like, yeah, maybe you're not the best fit to be voting if you're not even present for half of it because you're raising a newborn at home and your priorities are there. That's fine. Then, yeah, take a couple of years off. And you're right. I guess you can't do both. But to go to Tim's point about all the women that are shifting right, I think the minute they realize that Trump does not threaten my body, my choice. In fact, the left does that. Let's not even talk about vaccines. I feel like my body was violated. Then really there's nothing to hate him about. He's not a misogynist. He's not the rapist they paint him to be. Like, women are just always being lied to by the left that Trump is going to take away your right to an abortion. And let me tell you something. Abortion's not a good thing.
Well, women have been
just not.
Women have been lied to by the left, not just about Trump. Women have been lied to by the left, like it's like for all the time. Like the whole feminism argument is a lie, right? Like the idea that men and women, when it comes from the left, it's men and women are the same. You look at the way that China behaved, men and women dressed the same in China because everybody was equal and everybody was the same. And that's the same narrative that feminism has fed to women in the West. The same thing that the Chinese got about how everyone's the same and everyone is equal. It's the same thing. It's just designed for a Western audience.
Yeah, no thank you. Men and women are not the same, not in sports, not physically, not mentally, not emotionally, not in any way are we similar.
You meant to say grapist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
That's what I meant to
sewer
say.
slide.
Yes.
Unalived.
Unalived is my favorite. People
you
comment on my TikTok, can you unalive yourself? And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
See, if you're going to do that, just go with the very deep lore. Say things like Ann Hero.
And here,
get it.
the fact that these terms exist proves people reject censorship. They want to talk about these topics. They don't want to hide from them, and they will find a way to do so, whether or not you censor them.
True. Anyone will.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.